Gracious Lord, may the words out of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be pleasing to you, for you are our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. So, have you ever lost a child, like in a crowd or while you're on a trip or something? It happened to me many years ago while on a trip to Glacier National Park with my ex-wife and 2 kids. We lost our stepson on a day hike. We were climbing about this 2-mile trip that would take us up to this scenic overlook. And Nick, who was about 12, just disappeared into the crowd. One minute he was there, next, gone. We stood around for a while hoping he would show up, but he did not. And so I volunteered to walk on down back to the car. And all along the way, I asked people if they'd seen this young boy with a brown coat and a red hat. No luck. I get down to the car, he's not there. I didn't know what to do, so I went back up the trail, and looking for him all the way, kind of getting a little frantic by this time. I get back to my wife and daughter and no Nick, and so we continued on up the trail. Stopping at every switchback, looking at the rock outcroppings because Nick liked to climb rocks. And so we continued on up. We get up to the top. No Nick. We look around. We're seeing this beautiful view in front of us, these gorgeous mountain peaks and little glacier lakes and this huge forest spread out before us. It was gorgeous. And there, on a rock outcropping, sure enough, was Nick. So I go up to him and I'm all ready to be all upset with him, and he looks at me and he says, "What took you so long?" That's just, I just had to laugh with relief. So given this experience of losing Nick for just an hour, helps me to sympathize with Mary and Joseph, who did not find their boy Jesus after searching for 3 whole days. Luke tells us that they were astonished to find that after 3 days of frantic search in the busy city of Jerusalem, Jesus had been hanging out that whole time in the temple with Jewish scholars. I guess my question is, why didn't they look in the temple to begin with? Didn't they remember what all of those angels and shepherds and Simon and Anna and the wise men had already told them 12 years before? That their son was not only just unique, but was the Son of God? Surely Mary knew this. Yeah, I think so. So I believe that Luke, what he's doing here is doing a couple of things with this story. First of all, this is the only story in all of the Gospels of Jesus as a young boy. Luke wants to give us this well-rounded picture of who Jesus was. That even at the age of 12, he was already preparing for his ministry. At the same time, this story gives us a glimpse of Jesus within his human Jewish family. We get a glimpse of Jesus on the cusp of adulthood. And Mary and Joseph yet to fully probably understand who they were raising. Jesus had been traveling every year to Jerusalem with his family to celebrate the 7 days of Passover, the holiest of all festivals. We can assume, based on what else Luke has told us, that Mary and Joseph are devout and dedicated to their faith. This could be a key reason why God chose Mary to bear the incarnation. The age of 12 is a special time for a boy raised in adherence to Mosaic law. Today, if you're 12 and of the Jewish faith, you go through what's called bar mitzvah, which means to become a child of the law. Now, we don't know if they had bar mitzvahs back in the first century, but we do know that by the age of 12, you were starting to grow up. And so we know that from this scripture that we have before us today, that Jesus was becoming more independently involved in his faith practices. What really resonates to me about this story is that Jesus was in the temple listening and asking questions. What a great model for all of us, no matter what our age. I know for myself that if I spent more time listening, more time asking questions, the more I would grow not only in my own faith, but the ability to really truly understand others. Yeah, even at the age of 12, Jesus has much to teach us. And indeed, these teachers in the temple, they're astonished at Jesus' understanding of the Hebrew scriptures and traditions. But his parents, they don't really get who their son really is. Mary and Joseph reacted much the same way I reacted to losing Nick on that hill, on that hike in Glacier. They're astonished, but yet they're relieved. But given what Jesus tells them next, they're bewildered. In the very first words that Jesus speaks in this gospel, he replies to his mother's anxiety. Why were you searching for me? Did you not know that I was to be in my Father's house? Jesus is making it very clear that he's already aware of his calling as God's Son. Jesus is a Jew. Jesus is being raised to listen and ask questions and grow in all of his understanding of what God has done for the chosen Hebrew people. But one gets the idea, here in Luke, that Jesus is going to be so much more. Jesus is going to use God's ministry to reach and bring salvation beyond his own people, to all humans, no matter their culture, their language, their gender, or the color of their skin. But his parents, they're confused. He must have been thinking to himself, wait a minute, he keeps saying that he's going to be in his father's house, but isn't Jesus' house Joseph's house back in Nazareth? Jesus' human parents just don't quite get it. But they will. They will. So what about you? Do you know where to find Jesus? Is Jesus here at church this morning? Is Jesus in your home, in the eyes of your children? Your partner? Your community? Are you even looking for Jesus? And if you are, where else do you find Jesus? I know people who find Jesus in the woods, on a beach. Perhaps you find Jesus in your quiet place, amongst your prayers and contemplation. Perhaps Jesus shows up in a hospital room. Or maybe while riding a roller coaster. Oh, help me, Jesus! The good news is that Jesus Christ is right here. The good news is that we don't have to look far. And what do you do when you find Jesus? Don't let go. Don't ever let go. Mary and Joseph were relieved to find their son Jesus, just as I was relieved to find Silent Nick. As we wander into this season of Epiphany, what are you searching for? Maybe what you're searching for it's been right here all along and right here.